Yeah, I'll show you how to get it, but you have to be willing to do the work. The Syndicate, it's a motherfucking movement.
You ain't gotta be perfect, long as you down to put the work in. If when it comes to the bullshit you allergic, well, you just might be my kind of person. Welcome to the Syndicate, where real estate wholesaling is what the business is. Ain't gotta talk about it when you out here living it. So if you out here getting it, then welcome to the Syndicate. Well, welcome to the Syndicate. Well, welcome to the Syndicate.
All right, guys, you're listening to another episode of the Real Estate Wholesaling Syndicate podcast. Very excited to bring back a guest that we've had before, one of my good friends, Ashley Herrera. Ashley, thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me. This is such an awesome setup, by the way.
Yeah, I really like it. They have a cool setup down here. It's it's a lot more fun doing it in person, and I feel like the conversations have been better, and really get more content, which has been cool, and it's been fun. So what have you been up to since last time we had you on the podcast?
Man, so it's probably been a little while since last time. One of the biggest things that we're focusing on is a new development that we've picked up. We finally picked up some land that took forever because the seller was dragging her feet, and I really think she was just didn't want to sell it for one of the biggest reasons. And we finally got her to sign. Like, we sent her a contract in I think it was September, and she didn't sign until December.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how long it took her to finally sign it after she had already said, okay, yeah, we're ready to go. So we were all excited, and then October, November, December is like, are we even going to be moving forward? It's just, so we were kind of losing some hope with it, and out of nowhere, she signs it.
That's crazy.
So it's one of those things, it's where, we were losing hope on it, but then, just having the patience and waiting on other people to finally do what they have to do, and she finally signed.
Yeah.
So we picked up that land. We did a resurveyed on it. We got our engineer involved. We are going to be able to place 24 homes, which I first initially thought we were only going to be able to fit about 15 to 17, which is going to be amazing because we'll be able to get some more families on that land. So that's what we're focusing on. We're currently in the beginning stages. Engineers getting everything set up to let us know our next steps, and I'm sure we're going to be breaking ground here soon.
That's super exciting. So I want to break that down a bit too, and then kind of go in more how that whole process works. But what was that like with this? So she said it was like 3 months, 4 months or so. Were you guys following up with her? Like, what was the process like getting her to sign?
So one of the cool things is we in Abilene, Texas, we have an awesome agent that we use to list our homes, our new construction homes, and he has been a huge asset to our business because he has so many connections within the city, and he has a big influence to me. And he was able to connect us with this lady. She wanted to sell her property. It was obviously way too much. Us being investors, we know that we want to be able to purchase as low as possible so that we can obviously get a higher return on the end. And we were a little nervous about whether or not she was going to accept the offer because we almost went half of what she wanted.
Yeah.
So with her saying and, taking a long time to whether she's going to move forward or not, she agreed, which was awesome for us. But with that waiting time and with that waiting period, yes, we followed up with the agent. We didn't want to push her too hard because one of the things that we did learn about her is that she has a lot of property.
Oh, okay.
So she's in a different state, and everything's under an estate, and it's just one of those things where we didn't want to push too hard. But we did follow up with the agent. He's like, yeah, she always does this. We just got to wait. And she even wanted to close at a particular title company, which usually a buyer can choose where they want to close.
Right.
So even at that point, we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just go ahead and close where she wants to. And I guess that's really helped the situation because she was difficult. But as far as the follow-up, we didn't push as much as we would if we were just doing it on our own, since we had an agent involved.
That makes sense. Hey, you probably already heard the news, but we just launched Investor Plug. It's literally an all-in-one system that gives you everything you need to be successful. Everything from a custom CRM designed around your business and how you work, AI chatbot that's state-of-the-art, a marketing funnel designed to generate leads, and so much more. It's basically a business in the box that helps you do more in less time, so you can focus on what really matters, closing deals and making money. Now, some people, they need big teams. Others, they use Investor Plug. So check it out today, investorplug.io. Again, investorplug.io. And let me show you how we can take your business to the next level. That's super cool though. So what's like next? So you have the deal. So you have it. You guys are good to go. You're about to break ground. You did the surveys. So what's the steps from like going from just a piece of land to like having 24, brand new, really cool homes for people?
So the awesome part about this property is that there's already a street. So it ends in a cul-de-sac, and it's on the left side, and it's completely cleared out. And that's amazing news for a builder, because that means we save more money.
Yeah.
We're not having to go and clear the land. So again, the next step is we got street done. That's checkbox off. Now we need to look at utilities, being the sewer and the water, and then electricity. We had already done our research prior to putting in our offer to make sure, costs are going to make sense for us to be able to build the type of homes that we want to put there. And the cool thing was that we found out for the electricity, we're not having to pay anything. So we had budgeted money in that, not really knowing what that was going to be. But they just told us because of the amount of poles that you're going to be putting in, you have enough credit to where you're not going to have to pay anything, which is amazing.
Nice.
And then, of course, utilities, the other part of the utilities being the water and the sewer, that's where the engineer comes into play. The engineer is going to get all of that sorted out for us to be able to start putting that in. So once those two go in, then we can start basically breaking ground with each lot. Since there will be 24, we kind of want to start with at least 3 to 5 at a time and then roll from there so that everything is just like a domino effect from there.
That's crazy. Sounds like a lot. I mean, yeah, so much goes into that. I mean, how does it feel doing that? Do you feel like confident going into it? Is it like looking back like 5-10 years, can you imagine like you're doing these like huge projects now?
Yeah, so I always go back to the story of whenever we first started, because whenever we first started, we wanted to get into fix and flip. Really, that was the number one goal. We wanted to buy houses, get them done, make them beautiful again in the neighborhoods, and sell them. And one of our subs, he was like, why aren't y'all building houses? And that was not on our mind at all.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just like out of this world kind of concept for us at that point, because we had no idea that you could actually do something like that. And I thought about his question, and I thought, why not? Like, why can't we build a house? And what does it take?
Yeah.
And really dialing in and taking the action to know the steps. We didn't have any mentors or anybody to guide us, and we didn't really have anybody in our life at that point who built homes. So we had to go and figure it out on our own. And that took a lot of digging on the internet, calling a lot of people, which a lot of people being the city, engineers, all of the things just to figure out what needed to be done. And, to where we're at now, we've completed 16 homes. So that means 16 families have a brand new home, which is amazing. And adding an additional 24, at the same time, essentially, is kind of still mind blowing.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. No, it's very impressive, and yeah, it's badass. I feel like it's gonna be a crazy feeling to like drive by or to see them be like, there's nothing fucking there, and there's like these fucking houses. There's people living there. It's like, that's wild.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the cool things that we're going to take advantage of is marketing. So that's one of the big things with investments in real estate is the marketing piece of it. I do see from the time that we're now in our lives to where we see other mentors or people who are doing kind of what we want to do, what they're doing. And it's really showcasing the steps.
Yeah.
And we've gone by the property. We have our videos done and ready to go to say, hey, this is how it started. And this is the second phase and third phase. So that's really something I want to hone down on, because I feel like it's going to be a big part of not only just, getting the homes done for the community, but also for our brand. So that's a big part of our mission, is to get our brand out there, to let everybody know, like, hey, we're building these affordable homes in these cities and communities, and we're going to continue doing it.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's so I actually probably have a deal for you if we can go over after. But
sweet.
It's but I told the guy, and it's funny, David. David is in the syndicate with us, and he brought the deal, and then he's having trouble getting him down. I've been doing the live stream every day where I've been making calls. And so I just did it live. He went over the deal with me, and I got him to come down. And I mentioned affordable housing to the guy, and he was very excited. He's like, "Wow, that's so cool! Like, you guys are doing that here." And it's just, it's how's the community responded to it? It seems like it's a pretty exciting thing.
It's really amazing. And back to the agent that we've been working with, him being such an asset and an advocate for what we're doing for the community as well. He has really helped us get us out there. We've been in a magazine for the Abilene community, so they wrote an article about what we're doing. Whenever we first broke ground in Abilene, we started with 7 houses at one time. We got really lucky, and we found an awesome deal from a wholesaler.
Yeah.
So that wholesaler was able to bring a deal to us. It was amazing, and I mean, again, that was super scary, because we're taking on these lots, and we were at 2 houses down that we've already completed for new construction. So we were still kind of new.
Yeah. And
then we're going to tackle these 7 houses. And that magazine article came out, and we had been contacted by Habitat. What is it? Habitat
Humanity.
Yes. And he was curious, what is it that we're doing? And literally, we jump started the area, because there was no other builders doing what we were doing. Yeah. And now when you go look, there's builders everywhere doing what we're doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know you work with your husband. What's you guys' process like? How do you guys do this? What's going through your mind? Right, we have this huge project now.
So me and my husband, when we first started our business, we didn't know our roles. We just knew that we were doing it, right? But that led to a lot of bumps and bruises of how are we going to get through being a couple and work together? Right. And that was really one of our things, how are we going to figure this out? And I really thought back to my mortgage business and how I started as a processor and then became a loan officer, and how hard it was for me to let go and allow other people to do what they're good at. Right. And I thought about that and how much easier it got for me whenever I decided that I need to allow other people to come in and help and create a team to be able to really take off. And so I was like, this is probably what we need to do. And I told him, I was like, look, what we need to do is define our roles. I know what you're good at. I know what I'm good at. And I think you know what I'm good at too. But I'm going to write down what I think I need to focus on, and I'm going to write down what I think you need to focus on, and then we'll come together, and then you let me know, is this going to work? And mainly what it came down to is he's the general contractor. He's the one who manages everything. He's amazing at talking to people. He's just so good at managing. He's really good at money, really good at that too. And I'm really good at design and finding deals. So he agreed, yep, you're good at design. You can have the design part of it. Yep, you're good at finding deals. You can have the finding deals part of it. And I'll focus on the managing. And now it works flawlessly.
That's awesome.
Of course, 'cause sometimes my how can I say it? My control part of it comes in. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Yeah. How's this house going? Of course, I want to know too, but then I just step back and say, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And it's so important to know who's doing what. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
it really
it
does
sounds
make a
obvious when you say it, but like when you're in it, it's like, and we had to go through the same thing too.
Yeah.
And it's wild how much better things work. I'm like, oh wow, it's
Yeah.
nice when like everybody knows which way they're supposed to be going. Mm-hmm. But that's great. So let's talk about one of my favorite things. And since we just mentioned finding deals, so how are you finding deals? You mentioned working with wholesalers.
Yep.
What else are you doing to find deals, or what's it like working with wholesalers? What can most of the audience is wholesalers, so what can they be doing better?
Yeah. So one of the big things that I love being able to work with other people, and that is wholesalers. I mean, they are, and it depends, right? They're good at what they do. They are good at finding deals if it's a deal. They're able to get in touch with owners of a lot or a property or whatever it is that they're going to wholesale to you. And so long as the deal makes sense, I mean, it really does make a great partnership because that relationship with that wholesaler can continue for years.
Right.
And basically feeding each other. Overall, the wholesaler is going to get paid their wholesale fee at the end of the close. And then I come in, I purchase a good deal, and then I make mine whatever I do, whether that be new construction or fix and flip, and then get that sold or keep it or whatever I decide. So wholesaling, or wholesalers, I absolutely love working with them so long as they bring great deals. The other thing is I like to use Facebook. Facebook has always been my bread and butter to be able to find deals. And that's actually how I found the deal in Abilene with the 7 lots. It was on Facebook, and it was through Marketplace.
Was that the seller who had just put it up? Or was the owner of the property?
He was actually a wholesaler.
Yeah, okay.
So the wholesaler had put up the information on the Marketplace, and I just happened to run into him. Of course, asked all the questions because a lot of people, there are some people who just put stuff up there just to take your money.
Yeah.
And I still see that all the time now, which is crazy to me. But overall, the Marketplace is a really good starting point if you don't want to put any money. Really what you're putting in is your time.
Yeah. So what are you looking for? Like, so say somebody wants to get into land, or they're a wholesaler, I guess probably is a better thing. And they're like, hey, I have some land. I don't know how to value it. I don't know how to put the numbers together, but I know this person, they have land they want to sell. How do you look at deals, and how should they start looking at deals to, one, know if it's a deal and like what to offer?
Yeah, so every buyer is going to have their different criteria. For us, what we like to buy is no more than 10% of our resale value when it comes to lots or land. Obviously, when it comes to land, we want to buy it at a much cheaper price because we're going to have to put in streets, utilities, and all that good stuff, and that costs a lot. As well as time, because I'm not going to make money until maybe a year and a half or 2 years away if it's actual development of land.
Right.
So just really getting to know the buyer's criteria is really going to be your starting point as a wholesaler when it comes to land. I would also advise to surround yourself with other people who understand how to value land.
Right.
And honestly, I kind of feel like when it comes to the land part of it, it's just like, who's going to buy it? It's really driven by what somebody will pay.
Right.
To me, that's the hardest part, is to value land because it's all different.
Right.
You got houses, you got comparables. You got 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, total comparables.
Right.
Yes, you may have some comparables with land, but there's no 2 lands alike.
Right. So how do you I guess even, is that just like, do you look for other new builds, like for the completion or the, so when you do it backwards and you get that 10% number, so you just find what a similar new build sold for?
Yeah. So if I'm coming in or breaking into a new community, obviously we have our niche that we don't sell over a certain price point because it is an affordable price point in the area that we're in.
Right.
And we do start to look around to see, okay, are there any builders already building in this area? If they are, what are they building? And we actually analyze what they're building. We're not just looking at the price. We're not looking just at the square footage and, where it's positioned. We're also looking inside.
Yeah.
We want to see, are they using granite? Are they using tile, vinyl? What is it that's actually going into the property? And the reason is because we don't want to overbuild.
Right.
We don't want to overbuild the community. And in addition to, however, quality is a big part of our mission too. We don't want to put stuff in there that is not going to last.
Right.
So if we do see that a builder has a property and they are putting this type of material in it and we know it's super cheap, we're still going to put a better quality material in there, so that our clients, whenever they purchase a home, it's going to last for a while. So those types of things we do look at, because it's important not to overbuild.
Right. That's awesome. And then what are the areas that you focus on if anyone's listening and like, hey, I'd like to send her some deals?
Yeah, so right now we're focusing in Abilene, Texas and San Angelo, Texas. We are starting to venture out here in the corridor area between San Antonio and Austin. And the smaller towns are great as well, because we like to be able to provide affordable homes there. So, but really the bread and butter is in Abilene or San Angelo, Texas.
That's awesome. How did you guys decide on that area?
So we're from San Angelo, and we moved out here to the San Marcos area, I think over 8 years ago. And one of the biggest things that we see is affordability. So it's much pricier to buy out here versus we're over there in San Angelo and Abilene. And it just makes sense to be able to still be able to purchase lots at a lower price and be able to still build at an affordable price.
Yeah, I love that. It's super cool. Yeah, it's going to be really cool to go back in the community where you came up. That's awesome. So let's talk about wholesalers again. I've been kind of annoyed since we started looking for a flip again. I made a post the other day, and my DMs blew the fuck up. I got so many messages. I'm like, fuck, this is wild. It took me forever to go through them. So I finally went through them all. It literally took almost a week. And so I went through them all, tried to respond to everybody, go through them all. And 90% of them were fucking more than that. I think there was maybe one, and then I missed it because between all the junk. And then, yeah. So how many deals do you look at? So you said you're getting a lot of deals from wholesalers. Like how many deals do you look at? The numbers are anywhere close to being something. Like what's how do you go through that mess to find the deals that the wholesalers send you, and how can they be better?
Yeah, so whenever I get a deal, I'll go off of their numbers first. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's always usually wrong, which is fine. I just want to see what they're thinking. You know, what is it that's coming in, or what's in their mind that they think they need to sell it at this point or price point. So I'll start there. I'll start at the price point that they want, and then I'll start to look at what value should possibly be. Sometimes wholesalers will say the value is, and which is awesome, because then you're not having to do so much legwork.
Right.
So if you get something like that, I start with that, getting that value times 70%. And then I take a look at pictures, and hopefully they have pictures, because most of the time, if you don't have pictures, I have really nothing to go off of.
Right.
You could literally look at a house and it looks amazing on the outside, and then in the inside it could be gutted, 100%. Or it could be perfect on the outside and perfect in the inside. So it just really makes a big difference on being able to provide a buyer pictures, because it's going to determine on how much a wholesaler can actually wholesale that deal.
Yeah.
So pictures are provided. I say most of the wholesalers who send me deals, they do have pictures, which is awesome. In addition to what I'm seeing a lot is videos. Videos are awesome too, because even though you provide pictures, or sometimes you need to look in the corners or more towards the ground or whatever I'm looking for. Yeah. And sometimes the pictures doesn't show that, and the video does.
Yeah, I feel like videos, people can't really play the angles as much either.
Yeah, because I've seen pictures where it makes a room look so much longer than it really is.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened here?
Just lean back in the corner and get real high.
Yeah. So starting with that, looking at the pictures, determining approximately how much repairs will be based off of pictures, subtract that out. Subtracting my holding costs, which is basically going to be my insurance, and then any interest if I'm going to do a hard money loan. And then that's going to be where typically it should be at. That's going to be my max price. Now, if I see that the asking price is over that, then I'm like, all right, next.
That makes sense.
And then I just stop looking at it, because it's not worth my time.
Right.
So if I get a deal, like I got your deal the other day, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this looks like a good deal. I immediately looked at it and knew and because you had your numbers right.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. And then we can start digging a little more to see, okay, does this make sense? Start looking at the population, looking to see what's around the area, what's selling, what's not selling, what's out there, what's driving the economy.
That makes a lot of sense. So if somebody does send you one, do you like stop, and they send you like bad deals a couple times, you like stop looking at their emails, or like what's that? That's that kind of the process.
Yeah. I'm not a real big email person anymore. I do ask most of my wholesalers to text me because it's much faster.
Yeah, right.
You just think about, you're on your phone, you're going to get a text message. You're going to run into it more likely that day versus on email. Yes, I check email daily because I have to.
Right.
But if I have something else, I'm not just going to go spend time clicking on my email just to find a wholesale deal.
Right.
So I would recommend any wholesalers make that relationship and say, hey, can I text you the deal? And go from there.
Yeah. Now, do you think is it more so but they just don't know? Is it like ignorance, or just don't know? Or is it just, they're just like trying to trick people and just trying to force a deal when it's not a deal there?
I think it really depends on the wholesaler. I do feel that they don't know the other side of it. They're not looking at the perspective of an investor.
Right.
They're only looking at how much am I going to get?
Right.
And when they only look at that and then they try to push as much as possible out of that, doesn't leave any room for the investor.
Right.
So if a wholesaler understood that they're having to put money into it, some people are paying cash. You have to wait till title's ready and then you can close. That could be, I don't know, a little while for especially smaller cities. Takes a little more time on title, and then your holding costs. You have to pay people in between. You still have to flip the property so there's money coming out of that the bank, and then you have to put it on the market, and then you have to wait. And then if you get somebody who has a loan, then you have to wait another 30 to 45 days before you can actually close. So in actuality, depending on how fast that fix and flip or new construction, in a sense, it could take like 3 to 6 months or longer to actually make money on a deal.
Right.
So I think thinking on that perspective as an investor, not just somebody who's handing over a lead because you're going to get that quick cash. If you, again, to me, it's more of a relationship based to understand it.
No, I think that's a great point. And then never mind even the risk factor. I mean, you could lose money. I mean, we've lost money on a flip before, and it's not fun. But yeah, I think that too. I know because I feel like I brought some other buyers on here too, and like big flippers, and I think a lot of people kind of have the perception that like they're just trying to make a big assignment fee, and I think that is it sometimes. But I think more often than not, it's they're just trying to force a deal because like the seller wants a certain amount and they don't know how to negotiate or go down or like come to reality with it. Because I had somebody sent me a deal and I'm looking through the deals and I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, no, like, because I tried to respond if you don't get feedback. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, like 70% deals don't exist anymore. And I'm like,
but they do.
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I do this all day. Like okay, they don't exist. Like, well, fucking, if you guys stopped offering these crazy prices to sellers,
exactly.
If everyone just like wasn't artificially like making these sellers think they can get this crazy number just because you want to beat out the next guy and then waste a month not selling it, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But so let's talk about that deal. So that one in Lorraine I sent you. I know, but where the fuck? It's middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I actually looked it up and I was like, well, I'm going to have to look at this one a little bit more.
The only thing I saw was kind of close was where you're at. It's San Angelo. I'm like, that's like, I think it's like an hour or something from there.
It still was far away,
That's the only like city I even recognize or town. And so it's tough. Yeah, so we did, I think that was one with JP. I've been trying to help him because he's been having some bad luck. And just get one of the finish line. He's been like this close. There's been like title issues, crazy bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's had like 20 or so that probably should have got to the finish. At first, I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, they must be doing something wrong. There were also things that we improved on and stuff. But there's a lot. I'm like, it's just bad luck, dude. You do one, like you're real close because you couldn't like get any closer to like getting a deal like than he has and not gotten one. So, and then like definitely helping him, and we're real close on a couple. So that one there is there. I know I had somebody drive 4 hours and go out, and then they're
Wow, really?
yeah, and they were like, like, yeah, I don't know, the town's real small. I'm like, I'm surprised you didn't look at that first.
That's the first thing I looked at.
Yeah.
So the population was said like five. I don't want to say 500.
That's what the other guy
was
said.
right.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like
what he
500
said.
something.
Yeah,
I'm like, am I seeing this
I'm
right?
like, what? That's nuts. Yeah, that's what he said. 500 people. He's like, they said they didn't even have a single store. He's like, there was in a Dollar General or anything. I'm like, oh, that's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a interesting deal. But yeah, super nice guy. So I feel bad. I got to find a buyer too. Still trying to find a buyer for him, but yeah, that one's just tough. It sucks because like you get those nationwide leads that a lot of people are selling in front. It's just so hard finding a buyer on those.
Yeah.
Even though if you have a good deal and the numbers make sense, and just
So like those for those small towns, a lot of farmers are out there. So
Yeah,
like if
okay.
you can find a buyer who's a farmer or maybe construction, those type of people are looking for properties like that.
Yeah.
And they're good with having a home in the smaller city and driving wherever they need to go. So that was something that came to mind whenever I looked at it. But immediately when I saw the population, I was like, oh, there's probably not a lot of driving force here with the economy to be able to say that we could actually build houses here and have somebody in here pretty quickly. It would have to probably be more of a situation to where we find a buyer first to build a house for, and then be like, all right, we got people lined up, let's buy it.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this phone one suck. Yeah, so we're no more nationwide leads for us, and make sure everybody in the syndicate gets off it because it's just you waste so much fucking time. It sucks. But yeah, no, it's super cool. So, anything else like on your perspectives? I like kind of getting other people's perspective just to kind of like shift the paradigm or shift how people think, like wholesalers think about like approaching this. And I love that you talk about long-term relationships. I feel like most people don't think about it that way. But one thing I always say is like the whole community is so much smaller than you think, even just one here locally, but nationally, it's like everybody kind of knows each other.
Yeah, really. And I say that too because, like I mentioned before, when we didn't really have a lot of people around us who were doing what we were doing, once we started to get into like networking and seeing who's building, like who's doing this, who's wholesaling, let's meet these people. And it really is. It's always the same people, and maintaining those starting those relationships and maintaining those relationships are huge. And I lost train of thought.
We were talking about what were we talking about? We're talking about why, or just like the community and just like what other things wholesalers can do, I guess, or just kind of get your perspective on wholesalers, and just we're talking about building long-term relationships.
Yeah. Dang, I had something good too.
I think realizing that it was smaller than we think.
Yeah. So, being around other people and, realizing it is the same people over and over. And that's when your reputation can be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So, when you were asking me about whenever I do get deals, do you just stop after a little while? I was like, yeah, I do. Well, that means there's less wholesalers available who are going to be providing leads that know what they're doing, which again, that relationship will tighten.
Yeah.
So I think that initially a lot of people are like, this is the easiest way to get into real estate, especially if you don't have any money. Yeah, it is. But it's also the easiest way to lose a buyer and relationships with buyers if you don't do it right.
Yeah, for sure. You just get linked to the wrong people. Because looking back, like when I first started, it's funny because I actually had the buyer come on and like we did like we didn't talk about it. Like I did like some cringy things. I'm like, oh, like asked for his help with something, and then I was going around because like someone else told me that's how you do it, and I'm like, oh, and I realized, oh my God, I was an asshole if I could move. Like looking back, I've done deals and stuff or JD'd with people. But yeah, it's tough too because I feel like there's so much misinformation there. I think part of my mission is just let's clean this shit up. Like I think wholesaling is the coolest fucking opportunity, the best opportunity for people. But like, it's weird. Like there's like the vibes are weird at some of the events. The vibes are weird at like what people are teaching. Just bullshit on. Like it's just there's so much fluff out there. So yeah, my mission is to get it. Like let's clean this fucking shit up, and make it something cool.
I agree. I mean, and I'm real big on like team. Like you have to be able to have other people along with you to be able to get far. I mean, you can get far by yourself, but you're going to get much further as a team and working together. but I also agree with the vibes, and it's probably because it's like, oh, well, I need to find all the deals because I need to make all the money, or our team needs to make all the money. And it's, you know, there's deals all the time.
Yeah.
There's available money for everybody. And, you know, sometimes I even see like some wholesalers, they'll say, hey, let's work together. I got this deal. Do you have a buyer that possibly would look at this? And that's awesome. I mean, even when a wholesaler will come to me, and I also provide feedback too, because I feel like it'll help. And help them not only with that deal, but future deals. And with that, most of them will say, well, hey, do you possibly have a buyer that would be interested in it? But it's funny of how many don't ask. Could you imagine? You're a wholesaler talking to a buyer. Buyers know other buyers.
Right.
I'm a builder. I know other builders. I'm a flipper. I know other flippers. Right?
Right.
So it would make sense for a wholesaler to ask.
100%. No, I ask every time, and it's I don't know. I was talking with, so I don't want to call him out, but another mutual friend that we have that's in the syndicate, and but yeah, so he's saying like, he's like, oh, I haven't got any feedback, and I've been helping him with some of his deals, and I'm like, well, I've gotten feedback on it. Like I'm like, have you asked? Like, and he's very direct, like how he talks to people, and it doesn't like beat around the bush at all. He knows who he is, but
He's like,
but yeah, he's but yeah, it's just very direct, and just kind of talk about, you just, you know, go around, like you can't just, you know, try to mash a hammer with everything. Like sometimes you just ask, be direct, like, hey, like, hey man, I completely understand. Like I apologize. I'm new to this market. I wholesale here. I have this deal here. I'm trying to move it. I don't know the market very well. Can you just do me a favor, give me some feedback? I'd love to send you some deals, or maybe potentially we can do something. Or if you know anyone, like, what do you think about this deal? You can be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Like, you know, can I get your feedback on it?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, like, you know, they're like, oh, cool. I usually make a friend too. And it's like, and they start telling me everything more than I wanted to know, or you need to know, like, well, this street and that, like, because people love to, like, it's almost like an ego boost for them, because they get to, like, nobody wants me to talk about. I can tell you everything. I know fucking everything about this place. And like, it's a cool thing. Most people don't care about some random town, and they're like, I know, like, you know, it's like, but they do know a lot about the town, and like, they love that area if that's the area they focus on. And they're a wealth of information. You just got to ask. Yeah,
I agree. That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I mean, they have buyers sometimes they'll help you push it. Like, it's just asking those follow-up questions, just not giving up is huge. So what do you think is like the best way for a buyer and a wholesaler to build a relationship, and like, how can we fix the whole thing? Because I feel like wholesalers have such a fucking bad name, and there's no reason they should. I think it's one.
Honestly. So again, going back to what the buyer wants to buy. I know that wholesalers are taught, just go find a deal. Then you find a buyer.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I feel like, okay, but what if you don't have a buyer who wants that?
Right.
You're finding deals that don't make sense for a buyer to buy, meaning you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
So if you can pair with a buyer and say, hey, it's the buy box. What is your buy box is usually what I hear. Sometimes there's people who don't understand what buy box is either. So being
anything and everything. So, it's so hard, because I feel like I see both sides trying to. We'll find a solution here, but it's but yeah. So they asked that buy box, and then keep going. I mean, cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. Figure out what it is. Their buy box: 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet, no more than 250 ARV, whatever the case is. Because what that means, I use ARV because I don't want any of my houses above that.
Yeah.
And what that means is I need to buy well below that point, right? So just really honing in and understanding what your buyer wants, and then you can go find that. How much easier is it going to be able to sell something? Way much easier.
100%. I think that's huge, and it's crazy. I feel like good thing I was saying is like ask like deeper too, because a lot of times it's hard too, because like one of the reasons I do tell people like, hey, you should look for deals first, more just because it's I feel like people get analysis paralysis. Yeah. And it's like they just never take action. Like, oh, I called a couple buyers today, I'm good. I'm like, but that's not getting you any closer to making money. And, and a lot of people just use it as an excuse. And I feel like it's hard because you got to pick an extreme kind of with new people, and it's like one side or the other. So it's really tough. But yeah, so you find the buyers and then but like, so what if somebody calls, so hypothetically they call and they're new, they're not really good on the phone, they're a brand new wholesaler and they're like, like, hello. And like, someone's like, do you have any deals? Like, no, like I feel like the one that's good, probably they are getting that rejection there and they're dealing with it too. But like, what kind of questions to ask the buyer? If the buyer's real short with them, like, oh, just send it, anything and everything,
Yeah.
Well, how do you think they should handle that?
Just send it. Send it and then follow up.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I know that we had a conversation. You told me to send it over. Hey, what did you think? They may or may not respond. Keep following up.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, a buyer is going to respond if they want to buy something.
Right.
It's not one of those things where it's, how can I say it? Like if I see something and I'm like, oh, we need to jump on this.
Yeah.
Like we need to jump on this now. Yeah. I'll respond. Be
Yeah.
like, hey, what else you got on it? Or, hey, do you got this? Because I don't see it in here. Meaning in the pictures, I don't see the electrical box. I
Right.
need to know if it's knob and tube. Knob and tube, oof.
Yeah. What's
That
knob and
means
tube
a
mean?
whole, a knob and tube is a electrical box that was used a long time ago.
Okay.
So it's not up to date, meaning you're going to have to redo the whole house. So that could, depending on square footage and your relationships with your subs, that could be anywhere from $7,000 or higher in cost already, immediately. So knowing and seeing if it's knob and tube, you already know, like, okay, we're going to spend about $8,000. Boom, already. Let me see the roof. Oh, yeah, we got to get a new roof. Oh, we're going to spend at least $6,000.
Right.
Boom, next.
Yeah.
Plumbing is another thing. Plumbing is one of the bigger issues that most older homes have problems with because of the type of material that was used.
Yeah.
It could be rotted. It just doesn't work anymore at all. That's another big expense.
Right.
And then after that is the HVAC. Is there HVAC? Is there window units? One of the properties that we had recently purchased, it had window units. I'm like, we're going to get a new HVAC system. Well,
Yeah.
we had our sub go out and he's like, there's an HVAC system in here.
Oh, okay.
What? Okay, that's great news.
Yeah.
But I guess, some people, they just can't afford to fix their HVAC and they just put those window units in.
Right.
But that saved us another $7,000 because we
nice.
didn't have to put another HVAC system in there. So those kinds of things is, immediately to determine, we need to jump on this deal or not,
For sure.
But again, you still need to follow up regardless because you don't have a relationship yet. I have some wholesalers. I would say most of them are kind of new because they want to jump into the market and they just see that quick dollar, honestly. And they'll send me deals and then it goes dry for a long time, which is fine. But just remember that relationship isn't as strong because there's no consistency.
Right.
As a wholesaler, you have to remain consistent. You have to do something every day to be able to get deals.
Yeah, 100%. I would say it's like your last probably 60 to 90 days of activity is going to determine where you are today.
Yeah.
And it's real hard in wholesaling, especially when you're starting out, because a lot of times you finally get one, you're so excited, like now I got to move it.
Then you forget
and then
to do everything else.
And you stop
right?
doing what you're doing that got you there. And it's real hard where you make a bunch of money and like, cool, I can chill now. And it's really
and
hard.
then that money goes boom next, and then you're like scrambling to try to find another deal, and it just it needs to be consistent.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think one too, just like I think if you're calling buyers, just be transparent. Like if you're going with buyers first, just tell them like, hey, I'm new. It's like who I am. I really want to get into this. Yeah, I'm not afraid to do the work. I make fucking a couple hundred calls a day. Like like anything you've done like so far, even if you haven't got a deal yet. Like I haven't got my first deal yet, but I want to. I see you're doing deals. I'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
How can we do this? And I feel like people are going to be more open to working with you. Like.
Absolutely. I know that people who are successful want to help other people to become successful as well.
Especially when you see that hustle and you see like, oh, okay, they're actually an action taker. Because there's nothing I hate more, and it just drives me nuts, is like someone's like, oh, what should I do? And you give them advice, and they don't fucking listen. And it's like
that's the worst. That's the worst. You can tell somebody as many times as you want to, not until they make the decision to actually do it. It's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. It's like, especially like frustrating for me because I'm like, I fucking been where you are. Like I know exactly what move you should do because I've made the mistakes you're about to make. And, like, I don't have kids, but I'm guessing that must be like a parent's like, but it sucks.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different world with kids.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. But yeah, no, I think it's really cool. And I think we're doing some really cool stuff at the Syndicate. I love having you part of it. I know it's out last week. We actually had people here.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we did a little boiler room. We just didn't even really promote it. We just did it that week. We decided to do it, and we had a great turnout. We had brand new people making calls and never made calls. And yeah, I think kind of like the vision lately has been to show people what it's really like.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's so many, whatever you want to call them, fucking gurus or I don't know what the word is for them, but people on there that just like love to like sell the hype and just like the hype men, I guess. And they're like, I just want to show you what it's really like. We were doing the live stream calls every day. This is me making calls. Like nobody's fucking answering. You know, but I'm still calling, just sitting here. You know, it's like literally that's probably the most important thing I can do every day is make those calls. And but yeah, having people here is like so cool. There's I don't know if you've been on the call with her yet. But her name's Alicia. She's Bree's kind of mentoring her, helping her out, and like she wants to get into wholesaling. And she's 17. Her goal is to become the mayor of San Antonio one day. She's like super driven.
That's awesome.
Everyone was sitting in there, and they're all like, she came with her brother and her mom, and she like everyone was there, like sitting there, and it was awkward. And like I don't mind awkward situations. Like nobody made a call yet. Everyone's afraid to make that first call.
Yeah.
So it's
they
just
don't
real.
want anybody to hear.
Yeah, or just like everyone's like, oh, like sitting there twiddling their thumbs. It's like dead silent, and like I don't know. I find like silence funny. I just like wait to see like how people react, and then just like I just wait like for someone to do it, and then like she was the first one, just like okay, and like you could tell she's super nervous. She made the call. She's the first one to do it out of a room full of grown ass men, and she like made the call, and she's like boom, and like all of a sudden it's like oh, everyone looked around like fuck, she's making calls. I got to start making calls, and like the energy is just crazy. It was so good, and like everyone's kind of feeding off each other, like. Yeah, but a bunch of brand new people never made calls, a lot of good calls, people were getting leads and generating, just kind of getting over that fear. But yeah, I provide the leads, I provide the scripts, everything kind of, and I was able to like go around and help everyone, but it's super fun. So I think we're going to start doing that every Sunday now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're right about being around other people. Like you definitely feed off the energy in the room, and that's awesome. I bet it felt amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I forgot how much I missed it. One of my old businesses, before we moved to Texas, I had a call center, and I had like a team that worked for me, and it was I'm like, oh, I missed this. I definitely want to get back to that. So, and we're gonna start doing that every weekend. It's open invite for people, and maybe one day it'll be so big we need something bigger. But and then I think we tried doing Zoom for our Monday Syndicate calls. Now we're gonna start doing it. So we're gonna push it back a bit later, because one of the things that's kind of driven me crazy is just that like, oh my god, this is like. My favorite part of the week is doing the Syndicate calls, but it's like in prime time calling hours. It's like my favorite time to call is 6 to 8. So we're going to actually push like the mastermind part to 8. And then we're just going to do like a Zoom, like that hour before. And then just all make calls together virtually and see if we kind of recreate what we did here on Zoom.
That's great. But awesome.
I'm excited. Oh, and we are reading, so we're going to start reading a book a month too. So if you want to get on it, it's Atomic Habits we're doing this month.
Okay.
Then we're just going to kind of do a little book club type of thing.
That's great. I will get on it.
Awesome. So what's next? How do you manage? I guess that's the kind of question I want to ask. You do a lot of cool things. Like you do TV show, you have the mortgage company, you're building fucking communities, not even just homes, you're building fucking like whole communities for people. And you have a family.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you manage it? Like I feel like one of the biggest things people listening to it that are afraid to get off the fence are like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And what would you say to those people? And how do you manage it?
So my thing is not everybody's going to be like me, right? But there's a lot of people who are like me, and they function at a higher rate of speed. And whenever people say they don't have time, it's like, what? How do you not have enough time? Because like whenever I'm not doing something, I feel like I need to be doing something. Or I'm like, why am I doing something to be able to help me get to the next level at whatever it is that I'm focusing on at that time. And I used to really struggle with the balancing act. You know, there's so many people that say, oh, you need a life balance. I honestly feel like there is none. Like it is what it is. Like these are the things that I do. And I do a time block, and I do schedule in like my Zooms, my calls, whatever it is that I'm going to do for the day, because I want to be prepared and scheduled and know what's going to happen versus, oh, I get this call and then I need to check this email. Then I need to do this. Oh, I need to go here. It's not, you can't function very well. You can, but you're going to get tired.
Yeah.
You're going to get tired quick. And a lot of people call that burnout.
Yeah.
I mean, even at, high functioning person as I am, and you have all these things that I do them at times that are perfect for that business or whatever it is that I'm doing, including my family. Like, my family is everything to me, and I still get to go to school activities. I can go to lunch with my kids if I wanted to. If I want to plan a vacation in the middle of the school year, I can do that. I don't have to ask for time off. So I feel like I have somewhat of an advantage because I don't have a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
So when you can compare, if you compare me to somebody who has a 9-to-5, I can see why it would be a little harder. However, if you're working during the day, you have time at night.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true. I mean, you have your lunch break, you have before work, you got fucking, I don't know, you want it bad enough.
If you, exactly, that's what I was going to say. If you want it bad enough, you take the action and you do it. Yeah. Right?
I remember like one of the first jobs I had, it was like a little business. I always wanted to work for myself. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't know why. I just kind of always fucking had it in me. And I remember it was my buddy, and like that's probably 18, 19 at the time. We're working at this like call center together. And like I'm on my lunch break, I'm literally making calls for this business I'm trying. I'm like on the call. I was like, what are you doing? It's lunch break. Like, like why are you making more calls? Like you're fucking like, but like that's what I got to do. Like fucking, And now fucking look where I am and look where you are. But
exactly. And it's the truth. Yeah. So like with the TV show, I had no idea I was going to get a TV show or be on a TV show. But what I did know is that I was going to find a way to get on a TV show. I literally had it in my mind. I need to find a way to get on a TV show. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Yeah. It literally did.
That's wild. Where do you think that came from? Like sometimes like, I feel like I get those things like this. I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to do something. And like, I don't know.
Yeah. Obvious. Well, I have my thinking, and I'm sure other people agree, but like you get these thoughts from God, like they come to you and it's like, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. And it's like, I don't know, it's weird. Like my brain will race and then come up with all these ideas. And it's funny because some of my brightest ideas happen whenever I'm asleep. It's so weird. Like, oh, I had this problem today with a loan and I couldn't figure out the solution during the day, but I fell asleep and woke up the next morning. I have the solution.
I love that.
Yeah, I do that all the time too. And it's crazy, but I really, really believe that the thoughts that come through are from God. It's like, you need to follow this path. And then, sometimes things happen and it's like, oh, why are these things happening? And, people talk about, don't say, why is this happening to me, and more of how, or what is what I'm talking about?
They're happening for you.
For you. And you don't really think about those things in that moment until you're past that moment. And it's like, oh, okay, I see why I had to go through that.
100%.
Oh, I see why that had to happen so I could be right here today. Yeah. Right?
It's so weird, especially when you look back and like you see that and like, I don't know. And having those thoughts too, it's like they're different. There's not like normal thoughts you have. Like, and it's kind of sounds weird if people don't know what we're talking about, but it's I don't know, it's like a higher frequency thought or something.
Yeah.
It's just
and
like
you have to be on the higher frequency. And some people are going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Go look up frequencies. There's different frequencies and vibrations and stuff like that. And, one of the biggest ones is being in a depressive state. And that's low energy. That's a low vibration. And what you think about is you're going to continue to get. And, on the higher I can't even talk now. the higher part being, love and authenticity. And, it changes things so much.
100%. You ever heard Tony Robbins talk about it?
I haven't heard him in person talk about it.
Yeah, I think he's done the other ones too. But yeah, we've been to his stuff. Yeah, I love all Tony's stuff. But he does have you seen when he does describe a depressed person? Yeah, some of the guy they look down, their thumb. You can picture it in your head what a depressed person looks like.
Absolutely, and you can even feel it. I mean, if you're sitting there right now and you put your shoulders down and your head down, it's like you feel different. Yeah, you pick it up and it's like it's like coming out. Like it's just a whole different feel, vibe. Yeah. So yeah.
Nah, it's crazy how that works. But yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I think it's so cool. So But yeah, I think looking back to like you were saying though, like you see how like, oh shit, like I couldn't see that. And like you try to tell someone when they're going through it, even me, like even though like I've had so many examples of
Yeah.
like how shit worked out and I didn't think it would work out and it came through at the very last second when I didn't fucking see a way and
Yeah.
somehow God made a way or there was a way. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's so wild. Like it's happening every time. So you go through it again, it's like someone tells you that, like, and it's like, oh, like, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like, dude,
exactly.
you don't know what I'm going through.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, no, it's nuts because like you see like too, like even like the UFC fighter Michael Chandler. I don't know if you know him, but he's a big Christian. He talks about stuff, and he's a really cool guy. A lot of people don't like him, but after you look at him, he's like adopted his family. He just like does a bunch of cool stuff, and really good guy. And he's heard him on a podcast, and he said if something good happens from something bad that happened to you, did something bad
I have
really
heard
happen
that.
to you? Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I can just like you look back to like, I've seen partnerships like that. Like I'm so happy that didn't work out. I'm like fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like this didn't happen at the time. I was like what the fuck? I wasted all this time. This didn't happen, but I learned so many lessons. And like then I was like, and like something else happened and that happened, and I'm like, oh, I had a business partner that stole like $100,000 from me like back in the day. I'm like, oh fuck. But yeah, I learned like so lessons. And now like people that help in the syndicate, and like the other people like I come across and able to help. I'm like, oh, do that. Like okay, like here's what I would do. Because I fucking been through it now, and it's like, oh, it's just crazy like seeing how these things that like seem like so randomly that happen for no reason, and like there's just like I don't know, they turn you into who you are, I guess. And
Yeah, that as well as to be able to help other people. Like exactly the experiences that you experience, you're putting your hand out to help other people.
Right.
That's amazing. You know how many people don't do that?
yeah,
Because they want everything to themselves. But they're only going to get so far.
yeah,
And you as a person are going to help other people. And then obviously you get the fruit of the labor too.
Yeah.
Many blessings come your way
100%.
from reaching back and helping those people.
yeah. No, I just like it. I don't know. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wish someone would help me back in the day. And it's just nice to be able to help people. And it's but yeah, no, it's so cool because I feel like that's like a thing that felt like a higher frequency thought because like the people don't think about like oh, why am I going through this? How's this gonna help me? Like maybe it's not about you.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's not about you.
Exactly.
Maybe it's about you're gonna help somebody else one day.
Yeah. I think about relationships too, like even like friend relationships, and you think, oh, this person is awesome. And then they did something and it's like, why did they have to be that way?
Yeah.
And then I'm a real big believer in, giving people chances to really show who they are. And then if they do something and it's like, yeah, that we can't roll with that, like
Yeah.
you're immediately cut off.
Right.
We can't have that because what it does, it messes up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like what you have going on, like it's great. And then like this person comes into your life and is like, whoa, what's going on? Like why is all this crazy stuff happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be those one person.
Yeah. I struggle with that still sometimes. Like, oh, I try to like, give them extra chances, or maybe it's this or that. But like, I always
know
regret
that.
it. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And it is really coming from the kindness of your heart,
yeah.
honestly, because you want to see people do good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's tough too. Because, like right away I knew, we were going to be friends. And, like, I've been friends for years. I'm like, oh, I like Ashley. And like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, obviously not before the show, she's quiet and stuff too. I'm like, I think she's just watching the room. That's how I am. Like, she just watches to see how people are. I'm like, that's exactly how I am. So
Yeah, and I've always been that way, and it really has helped me as a person. I mean, it can really almost like put your guards up in a sense, because other people are like, oh, she isn't really nice, or she doesn't talk, or whatever the case is. But I feel like I'm a really nice person.
yeah, you are. You're very
And
nice.
but I don't give that to everybody. It's almost like an earning thing.
Yeah, right.
But again, I'm still giving you a chance.
Yeah, right. you don't know, just watch it. But no, I'm the same exact way. And like, 'cause it's, yeah, I know most people aren't. Just like growing up, I know there's like people, everyone's wearing a mask all the time, and they're not who they fucking pretend to be. And it's like, yeah, so I'm just waiting to see if they are or not. But it's hard to, like, I always like, especially talking about like the friend group and stuff, and being like, oh, there's like people, I'm like, I guess more like kind of like get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, why didn't you see this earlier? Like, oh, they were fucking warning, like you, like I'm like, no, that's not how they are. They're these person, they operate these certain ways, they say all the right things.
Yeah.
But like you look at their fucking but if you look, like tell yourself, you look at their actions.
Yeah.
Like there was this example, that example, this example, that example, when like they didn't operate that on your core values or how you expect people to be.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm like, fuck, because I always kind of feel dumb, like, oh, I fucking should have saw it, and then it should come off earlier, and then. But yeah, I think it's one of the best things you can do. Like I said, just cutting off people who don't match the energy because they're going to bring you down. And it's just,
exactly. And it's funny. I took my son to eat yesterday. It was just me and him. And I was talking about the same conversation about, you know, he's about to go to middle school. I said, hey, what are you most excited about? Like, what are you looking forward to? And then he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you know, like, are you excited to go see your friends or, you know, maybe a new school? You're going to meet so many more people. He's like, well, yeah, I don't need any more friends. I'm like, well, I know that there's going to be a lot more people that are going to be coming because all the elementary schools around go to the middle school. So you're going to meet more people. And then that's when I started to talk to him about who you surround yourself with. Like, all of your friends are going to become you, basically. So I want you to really evaluate who you hang out with. Because if you hang out with kids who are not making good choices, they're disrespectful, you're going to become that way. But if you hang around people who are making good choices and they are respectful, you're going to become that way. And then I compared it to me and my husband. Said, look at who we have around us. We don't have people around us who, and I went a little further, like do drugs and hard drugs and drinking all the time and stuff like that. That's just not our vibe. And it really, I think he got it. And it really does make a difference. So
no, I think
it's funny
huge.
that we're talking about that.
You're right. And it's weird because it's something like you hear like as a kid or you hear coming up and it's like, oh, like, or some parents like, it's who your friends are. Like, what does it matter? I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. They don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like, that's one of the truest things in the world. It's like,
it really is.
You're the five, I think Jim Rohn says you're the five people, or I don't know what the exact number is, but you're the, the people you hang out with. And
Yeah,
like,
the average of
become.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, even just like the mental energy, you think like, oh, look, this person did this thing. And then like, just not worth it. So I think, just finding the right people and just knowing they're out there. It's the longest time. Like, I'd rather like, we just didn't really have friends, or we every time we did it, like, oh, we're just not going to have friends. These all the people. Sometimes we try to force it, and like, like these people didn't. I'm like, I don't fucking like these people. They just see it. Like, I don't know. I'm supposed to be sociable. I know it's a thing, but no, I'm so happy we connected with you, and like, you know, I'm like, we always talk to you and just think about it, like, 'cause it happens to us all the time. 'Cause, you know, we do a lot of things, and we meet people and stuff, and when you come across a lot of people, you think people are your friends, they reveal themselves. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, like, you're one of the people that we think like, wow, we're so happy we have Ashley. You know, like, I'm like, no, we do have real friends. Like, sometimes like, oh, everybody's like this, everyone's fake. I'm like, no, we have Ashley. She's a real friend. You know, we have this person, they're a real friend. They're true people. And sometimes it takes a year, like, you know, a while to like see like their true colors, man. So I'm real grateful to have you as a friend.
I'm always grateful too. I love you and Bree.
Same here. No, we feel the same way about you. And I want to say, if you guys weren't in our last week, you missed it. Ashley stepped up in a big way. Bree lost her voice the day before, and you killed it on stage. You did the best MC I think we've had, hands down. And we're like, wow. And just literally less than 24 hours notice, and you showed up. And thank you again.
Yeah. When I got your text, I was like, wait, what? I was a little nervous.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, first person came to mind too. Someone said, message Ashley. You know, like, but I really appreciate you guys being there, coming through.
Absolutely.
And
always here.
but I don't know. But I don't know if we talked about the next one, what we're doing. Did we tell you about the next one yet?
Not yet. I'm ready to hear it.
So I haven't really told anybody. But so we're going big. So I know Bree gets mad at me to do this. Like, cool, the last one went really well. I mean, I thought the last one pretty
it was
good.
amazing. Yeah.
And so like, oh, just do it again. I'm like, we'll do the same thing again. I'm like, yeah, we could do that. I'm like, or we could fucking go big. You know? Dude, like, I do this every time. And she's like, yeah. She's like, no, you got like all this other shit going on. We got to work and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know, you're right. But I'm like, or we could fucking make
the
it
visionary.
I'm like, or we make this the biggest fucking one in the space and we take over, because wholesaling live's not happening this year, as far as I've heard. So that was the biggest one. There's no big wholesaling event happening, and last year it happened around this time. So I think we need
like
one.
you and Bree are like making strides and steps in this city, and it's amazing. Like y'all came in not knowing anybody. Yeah,
I know, a single person.
And it's amazing.
We moved to Texas, didn't know anyone. We had a couple people in Austin. We had to survive the ice storm, COVID, so we didn't really know people there. And like, I had a couple of friends from like jiu-jitsu, and then we just fight each other. I'm like, oh, this is cool and it's fun. But some told us to get out of our comfort zone again and come down to San Antonio. Everyone in Austin like, why would you go to San Antonio? I'm like, I like it. We've been down there. It's cool as shit. And I want to get in real estate. Someone told me to go down, so we came down, and it's it's been amazing. I love the city. I love how many cool people I've met. Like, I don't know, I've never met so many people that are like, so like I met like Texas people proud to be Texas, but like people like proud to be Texas and proud to be like San Antonio. I'm like, wow, it's so cool. Like you guys,
it's a whole vibe.
like you guys tell you love the city, and like you like, I'm like, I love the city, like too, and like I love the first thing you did, obviously go to San Antonio, go do the Alamo, and you see the Davy Crockett quote that he's like, I'm not from Texas, but I got here as quick as I could. I'm like, shit, that's me. I'm like, that's me. Fuck. But yeah, no, I love it. But thanks so much, John. But yeah. But so this event, it's gonna be the biggest one. So we're going big. We're doing, because I think there's a need for it. I think there's a need for a big event and to keep that energy going and keep that coming and just like helping people get into it. But I'm happy now because now we can kind of do it the way I'd like to, which is making it clear this is how we do things, this is how we operate, and this is like the right way to be a wholesaler, and so we can change our reputation. But we're gonna do, so the goal is 500 plus people. So
Oh, wow.
5x, like, or 4, 3x, 2x, I don't know. It's a lot more than we've ever done. And the crazy thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make the whole thing fucking free. So I'm not even gonna charge. The only way you're VIP here is you have to be my people. It means you have to be in the syndicate, which means you gotta be someone I fuck with, and we don't just let anyone in. But if you're a cool person and you operate with integrity and stuff, then like love to talk to you. But it's but yeah, it's, we're gonna make it free. I'm working on getting some big speakers. We already got some big speakers we haven't had speak before flying in. It's good. Yeah, we're gonna do it big and we're gonna do it right, and it's it's gonna be free. So I think we're gonna shitload of people because it's free. But again, it's gonna be limited, so don't just grab a ticket, just grab one. If you can't make it, you're stealing one from someone else and you're a thief. So don't do that. But no, so we're going big. I'm really excited about it. So that's why we're pushing real hard on social media. We're trying to do live streams, and we're going to make this the biggest event in the space. Yeah. And we're going to change the shit. We're going to make it, wholesalers going to have a great fucking reputation.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
People are going to be happy to get a call from a wholesaler like, fuck, I've been waiting for this. Like, you're one of those good ones.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, that's how it is, too. Like, when I first came here, I went to some RIAs, and, like, people are like, oh, you're a wholesaler? Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Oh, no. And they're like, oh, like, oh, do you work for, like, New Weston or something? I'm like, nah, just me. And like, oh, you're an independent wholesaler? Like, oh, okay, well, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, nice to meet you. Like, please send me your deals. Like, and I think once they find out as a real person, and they're like, oh, they're ecstatic. Like, no, I want that. But there's just so many bad ones out there.
Yeah, and exactly what you just said shows reputation. Like once you mess up for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's just like, you just have a stigma. And it's like, oh, that's crazy. But I mean, I think it's up to us to change the game, change the narrative, and just operate with integrity. So I'm very excited. Oh, and totally, I'm all over this place. I think you know that. I think most people know I'm one train, boom, boom, boom. But it's the whole reason I said that. So the biggest wholesale event, we're making it happen. We need everyone's help make it happen. But we'd love for you to MC again. Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
So you ready to speak in front of 500 people? And
that'd be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Let's do it. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
We need to find a fucking venue. So that's been the goal today. And like, I don't know if anyone's done events. If you guys tried to, it's like so fucking hard to get those people on the phone.
Yeah.
They just like don't answer. Like I call them.
Are you calling realtors?
It feels like it. It feels like it. Like they're
sorry, realtors.
No, I mean, that's another thing. I feel like, but like same thing. Like if you're the one who doesn't do that, that's all it takes to fucking stand out and like be like known in your industry.
Exactly.
Is just do those little things, because most people don't. Like, just if you want to be one of the best realtors on town, answer your fucking phone.
Answer your phone.
Everyone's
You're
like,
so right.
Yeah,
You're
if you could be known as the realtor that answers their phone, like, oh shit, everyone's gonna think of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, getting the venues on the phone, it's like, I think it's the whole thing with them too. You just can't get a hold of them, and then they'll come back to you in a couple of days, and like maybe eventually, and then they don't tell you the pricing, they don't tell you if it's available, they don't. So that's our fun goal. Everything else too. Then, but we're finding a venue, so we're gonna have a venue locked up. That's what we're doing today. But I'm excited. But
yeah,
we'd love
I'm
to have
excited
you MC,
too.
and
Wow.
I think it's gonna be fun, and I think they're gonna keep getting bigger and keep getting better.
Yeah, they do every time.
Yeah,
absolutely every time.
I know. What do you think? I mean, you've seen the whole progression. You've been there since day one.
Yeah, like I said, they get better every time you have one, and it's amazing that you're able to get people to show up every time.
Yeah.
Regardless. And this last one, when I asked like, who's here for the first time? It was a majority of people.
I didn't. I'm so happy you asked that question. I had no. I'm like, oh, I should ask something like that. I'm like, yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, so many new faces and stuff, and
it really is. And that, that's what you're there to do, is help those exact people coming in and showing up to these events, because like I said, you're putting your hand back and pulling them up to help them.
Yeah,
So
it's wild.
awesome.
I know we were talking about it, and like when we first came here, we did an event. I think you were at that the Connected Network when we had the headshots and photographer. Did you go to that one?
That's the one I didn't get to go
Yeah,
to.
so that was like our first one. It was like this little thing and like this little like sketchy like bar thing above it, and it was we had some people there. It was fun. We're like, oh, it's good. And then like the next one we went to, there was fucking nobody. Or like the second one was a couple people, and then we had to change the venue because they fired their manager, and I got in a fight with the other one. And we go like by the third one, it was like me, Bree, and like one other person, and we're like, what the fuck? Why are we doing these? And then.
Oh my gosh, I love your consistency. Like I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wild. You think, I'm like, fuck. I remember being like, why am I doing this? And like, I feel like they're so true as a wholesaler, in business, whatever. It's like there's so many times you're gonna be like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
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 But just keep doing it. Cool shit happens sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Wow.
But yeah, I'm very excited for the event though, and it's gonna be a cool one. So yeah, we have a bunch of stuff planned for it, and yeah, it's gonna be free. So I think we're gonna get a lot of people. So it's I'm excited. Yeah, but I think it's just wild just thinking that like we had this one. There's literally one other person there, and like now we have people flying in.
Yeah.
Like we have people like hundreds of people. We have like the biggest like people wanting to speak and like hit me up, and I'm like being very selective, being like, no, I only want go-givers on the stage. Even more so now, I feel like I'm starting to have like a responsibility, being like I only put like people that like are really doing this and like are good people and go-givers and have our core values like on there. And it's wild. It's definitely seems like it's more responsibility, but I don't know. I definitely feel honored and like grateful and like blessed like that all these people do come to our event, and like people like you show up and support us and make us happen, and like behind the scenes making it happen. And it's I don't know. Life's weird. It's weird how shit works out.
It's a blessing.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful blessing.
100%. It's grateful. But yeah, we had one guy in that one day that we did 3-hour event. Jameson. I think you'll meet him next time we come on the calls. But he's in a Syndicate now, and he came in from Vermont.
Oh wow!
He just flew in just in the middle of the week. Yeah. And like just came. I'm like, that's cool. This time we're gonna do it the weekend too, so it should be easier for people. But yeah, we got that going on. We're gonna have some bunch of cool stuff going to announce. I think we're gonna do a challenge too.
Sweet.
Kind of give people an opportunity. Whoever wins might be able to go on stage, and we're still working on how that contest is gonna work. So the next one will be a challenge, but a lot of cool things going on in Syndicate and stuff we're working on. I'm very excited and grateful to have you a part of the Syndicate and a part of the community, and as one of our closest friends. So we appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks so much. This was an amazing time.
Yeah.
We had such a great conversation, and hopefully some little nugget, somebody will get something off of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's some in there. You gotta dig for them, but you'll find them. But so what's the best way for people to connect with you and to follow all the cool shit you're doing? How do they find the TV show? How do they follow you on social?
Yeah, so all things Ashley is you can go to my website. It's called theashleyherrera.com, and you'll find anything and everything there.